Tell me the truth and I will believe. But tell me a story and it will live in my heart forever. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, DTM Sapna, for the wonderful introduction. Welcome to this mini workshop because I just have half an hour of time. So it's more about stories in conversations. Okay, so this is going to be a brief agenda. Introduction, where I'll be telling the basics of storytelling, what's the science behind storytelling, elements of storytelling, storytelling in data, how to create your own story arsenal, and last one, if time permits, business storytelling, a part of forming your vision story or your product story. Very important. So storytelling. We have heard this word and it's a buzzword these days. But according to you, what is storytelling? What's that one thing that comes to your mind? Anyone would like to share? What is storytelling? What comes to your mind first?
Captures the essence of what the message is.
Anyone else?
Experience. About the journey.
Okay. What is storytelling to you?
Connecting.
Okay, connecting to you. Wonderful. So storytelling is more about, as you mentioned, connecting to people at an emotional level. It's a powerful tool which we can use in a conversation to connect to someone, to convey a message at an emotional level. So speaking about stories, I just remembered a story. Once upon a time, there was a person named Rampa. How many of you know Rampa? Heard about Rampa? And he had his favorite family doctor. Her name was Dr. Champa. So what happened was Rampa once was having his chicken biryani and chicken ghee roast. Unfortunately, it resulted in stomach upset, like food poisoning. So he goes to his doctor. So he meets his doctor and the doctor, she writes him a prescription. So Rampa, he looks at the prescription and he asks her, like, how does it work? So Dr. Champa, being Dr. Champa, she explained the prescription in detail, like how this tablet goes into the stomach and how the chemical gets divided and how it affects your stomach and how you'll be healed. 20 minutes she explained and Rampa was like, wow, my doctor is the best. She explained how this tablet works, wow. Now he's on his way back home. On his way back home, he meets Anmol and he asks, hey Anmol, how are you? So Anmol is like, oh, I too have a very bad stomach pain. I went to one of my doctors. He's like, hey, Rampa says, that doctor, he's not good. You go to Dr. Champa, see, I have this prescription. She explained in detail, how does this work? Your doctor is useless, you go to my doctor. And he proceeds ahead. Then he meets Sapna Shanaik. And then Sapna is like, oh God, I just have such a bad headache. Toastmasters, Evolvers, Speechcraft, everything, I have to handle everything. So he's like, did you go to doctor? She says, yeah, I went to one of my doctors. He's like, hey, your doctor, he's not good. You should go to Dr. Champa. She is the best. See, this prescription she has given me, wonderful. You should go there. Don't you forget your doctor. My doctor is the best. He reaches home. He goes towards his altar. And in his altar is a huge frame of Dr. Champa. He puts flowers to that frame. He takes agarbatti, does his ritual. He takes holy water. He puts it around his house. Every day morning, he takes a prescription, reads it 3 times. Afternoon, reads it 3 times. Evening, reads it 3 times. He continues this for a week. He does all the things except one thing. That is to take the medicine. So ladies and gentlemen, don't you think sometimes we also do the same thing? We are so caught up in our religious practices, we forget to follow the essence of our religion. That is peace, helping others, and loving one another. Isn't it true? I intentionally chose this story on a very sensitive topic to make a point. Now imagine I coming over here and I start saying, what's wrong with us all? What are we doing? We follow our religion, but we don't follow our core essence of our religion. There's war happening in Israel, there's war happening in where Russia and which is that?
Ukraine.
Ukraine, all those things are happening. But what's wrong? Why don't we follow the essence of our religion? How would it sound? The moment I start saying that, 10 seconds, your mind will switch off. Like, what is this guy talking? Why is he coming and preaching us? What's wrong with him? Right? I know what my religion is about. But the moment I pack it up in a story, even a sensitive topic, you can convey a point very effectively. Now that's the magic of storytelling. So these are 3 effects of storytelling. One thing, it doesn't sound too preachy. Second, it conveys the point effectively, which appeals to the emotion. And most importantly, the message sticks. It sticks to your mind. Because I have observed most of us, like most of the people who know me, as perhaps in Toastmasters also, they remember me by one of my speeches. They're like, oh, okay, many years ago I heard your speech. Some people don't even know my name. Right? So that's how the message always sticks, and story appeals to your emotional mind. So let's go down to a memory lane. So would any one of you would like to share a small story which they heard some long time ago, 1 minute story, quick? Anyone would like to share something? Like from a grandmother or some incident happened? Anyone? Okay, I would like to share like a part of a story which my grandmother, she used to say that the story was about the marriage of crabs. Okay, so I don't exactly know the complete story, but one essence which always stuck to my mind. She used to say that the crabs, the bride and bridegroom, they come and all the fishes, they were ready with the band. The moment they entered, they started the band, parara, parara, jing, jing, jing. So that thing still stuck to my mind, right? So stories stick. But what's the science behind it? Is there a science, or how does it work? So there are many research done. So I have selected the top 3. One is the chemical post-it notes. Now can anyone tell me what happened in 26/11?
The terrorist, no, 26/11 was India. The Mumbai attack.
That's 9/11.
So when you got that news, do you remember what exactly you were doing at that point of time?
Yeah.
Right? So what happens is, whenever an emotionally charged event we are exposed to, our brain, the part of the brain amygdala, it gives out dopamine. And dopamine is a very amazing information retainer and helps in memory. So that's the power of emotions. So you might remember, most of the time we remember the emotionally charged event. Dopamine comes in and it gives a chemically posted note which says, remember me. So in your mind there are a lot of millions of small post-it notes which says, remember me, remember me, remember me. And stories, it does the same. When you share the story and if it appeals to the emotion, and somewhere back of your mind, they might not remember who has told it, but they're like, okay, this story is there in their mind. So that's one of the things. Second is neural coupling. There was a research done where 5 of them were in a dark room. Their brain was scanned under MRI, functional magnetic resonance imaging. And on the other room, there was a storyteller, even his brain was scanned. And the storyteller was sharing a story. And astonishingly, at the end of his story, the emotions of the storyteller and the listener were at the same level. The results of that experiment, the neural networks and all those things, the same match which resulted, which gave a conclusion that emotionally they both are same. Now just try to remember when someone, one of your friends, when she's explaining you a very sad story or her experience, at the end of the day, emotionally both are at the same level. That's one of the power of storytelling. Next is a mirror neurons. There was an experiment conducted on monkeys. Electrodes were placed in their brain just to check their brain patterns while they're doing the activity. Like for example, while they're going to grab a fruit, or while they're walking, or while they're climbing a tree. which part of the brains are activated. So one afternoon, what happened? One of the scientists, he was having his lunch, and he noticed a beep on the monitor, and he noticed that okay, fine, the brain which takes place, which activates while having food, it's activated, the part of the brain of the monkey. But when he noticed the monkey, the monkey was not eating anything. He was just noticing the person, the scientist. Now scientist was curious, like how it is possible. Then when they deep dived into it, they realized that just the act of thinking can trigger the same parts of the brain. The monkey was not eating the food, but he was just imagining, okay, I'm grabbing onto that food. So some specific words trigger the specific parts of the brain. For example, if someone says in the sentence like, he was angry, he was ferocious, somewhere that part of the brain is activated. And you might have observed in storytelling, one of my speeches where I had explained I was in a camp, okay, it was fully dark and it was a haunted experience. After this speech, most of them were like, Royal, I felt like I was with you in that camp. Because the level of experience of the storyteller and the listener always matches. And this is one of the aspects of manifestation as well, law of attraction, where you think and achieve and all this stuff. This is a scientific base of storytelling, the main three cores, how storytelling works, how you can captivate people's attention. Okay, now it's time for a story break.